is going on, guys? And in this video I'll be giving you my UFC Fight Night Vegas 71 Pavlovich versus Blaydes main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place April 22nd 2023 out of Las Vegas, Nevada in the Apex. So we go back to the Apex. I don't think they've been there in a little bit. Yeah, some good live events and all that, but back to the Apex, back to the smaller cage, I believe, and so that'll be interesting to see. I think there's gonna be a lot of violence, main card, good fights for a fight night. For a Vegas card, Apex card, I think it's pretty good fights as well. A lot is on the line in the main event just to see maybe who's the next contender. Co-main event, Ricky Simone's trying to come up the 135-pound division. Yadong Song is trying to stay there, coming off his loss against Curtis, I think. So I do think these are some pretty solid fights for a fight night, and then obviously looking to bounce back from the, I think I went 7-7. I'd like to hit a perfect or get two wrong. I think I'm due for one of those, but we'll see what happens. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the first fight. In the first fight on the main card, we have Jeremiah Wells, 11-2-1, taking on Matt Semelsberger, 11-4, in a welterweight bout. So this is going to be a pretty, I think it's going to be a quick, explosive fight. I really don't see it going like all 3 rounds. I really do think it's going to come down to just who, as stupid as it sounds, who makes the least amount of mistakes, in the sense of who doesn't miss their big shot, right? Because I feel like, you know, we saw Semelsberger drop Jake Matthews in each of those rounds. Really quick, good power. You know, he didn't KO him when he dropped, you know, he did drop him, but he didn't KO Jake Matthews, obviously. Whereas Jeremiah Wells, I feel like probably he's explosive too. I don't know if he's as quick, but it's just because he can generate that kind of power. I think Wells would be able to take out anyone he fights with one shot, whereas Semelsberger has really good speed and he also has good power. But as we saw, like, he did win that fight against Jake Matthews, but he was unable to get the finish in that fight. And so I can't see Semelsberger. I mean, Semelsberger obviously has a KO TKO victory, 2 TKO victories, but I still think, like, out of the guys who's knocking everyone out, Wells probably has the most power. And just because he's so explosive, and he can miss, like when he took out Court McGee, he missed. He leaped forward, missed with one, hit him with the other one, with the other hook, and just sent him to the canvas. And he also is very strong too, Jeremiah Wells. I feel like he's one of these guys who, you know, he could possibly grapple Semelsberger. Now that would be a little bit concerning just because we haven't really seen him go like 3 rounds of doing that, and so maybe he starts to slow down. But at the same time, Semelsberger in that second and third round, he was getting tagged a little bit more by Jake Matthews. The first round for him was really good, but you know, as the fight went on, he was getting a little bit tagged, and then I think in the last round he got taken down or whatever. But Jeremiah Wells, it's just hard to go against him with the kind of KO power that he has. And the fact that, again, he only needs to really land one shot. He also has a grappling game, which, you know, he could definitely get a submission if he's able to get Semelsberger down, right? Semelsberger comes out, trades with him, ducks under, takes him down, and then maybe you see Wells trying to get a submission victory. But either way, I think it ends in the first round. I just think both guys are going to go for it. I don't really see them like being laid back or anything like that. And, you know, obviously Semelsberger could probably take advantage of Wells coming in too aggressively, which is concerning. But maybe Wells slows it down a little bit in that first round, really looks for a good shot, and then maybe opens something with the wrestling as well. So, and then tries to finish him via ground and pound. But yeah, either way, I think it's going to be an exciting fight until it ends. But for me, I'm going to have to go Jeremiah Wells to defeat Matt Semelsberger. I'll take him to win by KO TKO in round number 1. In the second fight on the main card, we have Yasmine Luceno, 13-5, taking on Brogan Walker, 7-3, in a strawweight bout. So this is a pretty interesting fight just because Walker, in my opinion, just did not look good in her last fight against Juliana Miller. You know, eventually got taken out in round 3. Kind of just broke down throughout that fight. Just kind of got crushed, and you really didn't have any answers for it. Whereas Luceno, she took on Yasmine Hergy in her last fight. She won that. She lost that fight via unanimous decision. I thought it was a pretty good fight. She got outstruck, but she did land some pretty hard shots. she's definitely like, she reminds me of like Jessica Andrade kind of, where, you know, she'll throw down, right? When she gets in close, she'll start throwing wild hooks. Her chin holds up, but her volume could be a little bit low because she's not like picking her shots. Or I mean, she landed I think she also landed some good kicks in that fight, some leg kicks. Possibly might try to look to grapple in this one, but the most concerning thing here for me, and why I think Luceno is probably going to win this fight, is just because Walker, you know, she has a BJJ background or whatever. They were talking about that with the whole Ultimate Fighter or whatever, but I mean, she just got significantly outstruck, and then Miller was the one taking her down, right? And kind of just controlled her on the floor. I didn't really see like Walker throwing up submissions or defensively looking great. And she just slowed down so drastically towards the end of that fight that Miller was just able to mount her basically and drop elbows on her head and won the fight. So I didn't really see, like, even she was just getting beat up. Like I didn't really see anything that makes me go, wow, man, the next time she fights, that one was a fluke, man. She's gonna come out there and dominate or whatever. And so I don't know like how she's going to look in this fight necessarily. Maybe she tries to get the wrestling going. Maybe she tries to, get the Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I mean, she does have power. Like Walker obviously looks like she has the strength, but I think Luceno too is going to have a strength in this fight and probably the better stand-up. And if she kind of just overwhelms Rogan Walker, and maybe she's not going in for takedowns. Maybe she doesn't want to test Walker's ground game, so she keeps the fight standing. But I think she could defend some takedowns, right? And then from there, kind of just piece her up. She doesn't really have to land the more volume, right? Because I don't see Walker like 100 significant strikes being landed by Walker, and so she's gonna lose the exchanges, not be able to take her down, and then slowly basically just start tiring out, and then who knows what'll happen. But maybe she's tough this time. Maybe she's obviously going to come out knowing that like last time she did not look good at all. So I don't know if she gets finished, but I feel pretty confident in taking Yasmine Luceno in this one. So I'm going to go Yasmine Luceno to defeat Brogan Walker. I'll take her to win by a decision. In the third fight on the main card, we have Bobby Green, 29-14-1, taking on Jared Gordon, 19-6, in a lightweight bout. Obviously the veteran in the game, Bobby Green, coming in here, and he's coming off of a loss, unfortunately for him, in a fight where I honestly think he was doing really good in that first round. Even into the second round, he was throwing good body kicks, great boxing. He was actually landing some pretty hard shots on Drew Dober. He was busting him up a little bit. Solid takedown defense. He can even go for a takedown if he wants to, but I would say, he gets a little cocky with it, likes to keep it standing. I mean, if you look at the significant strikes landed by Bobby Green, 73 to Drew Dober's 34. They just, unfortunately, in that second round got into a wild exchange, and Bobby Green was not the one that came out on top in that one. But like I said, he was beating him up. Like, he was landing hard shots. I mean, he was winning that fight up until they got into that wild exchange, at least in my opinion. Before that, he lost to Islam Makhachev. Unfortunate for him, short notice, got taken out. Before that, though, he defeated Nasrat Haqparast, Ali Quinta, lost to Rafael Fiziev, close fight. Unanimous decision loss, but I still think it was a close fight because you had Bobby Green again outstriking his opponent. Even in his losses, right, he's outstriking his opponent outside of Makhachev. But yeah, I mean, he's lighting people up regardless. It's not like in his last fight. He was looking like trash and then got taken out. Like, he was landing on Drew Dober, and Drew Dober had to come back and win that fight. I mean, Bobby Green reversed a takedown early in that fight too, pretty dominantly. Great hand speed, and the cockiness or whatever. For Jared Gordon, he's coming off of a unanimous decision loss against Paddy Pimblett. I don't know about unanimous decision. That was a little bit questionable. I mean, I could see a split decision loss all day, honestly, but a unanimous decision loss. He was finding success in close with his hooks. He did mix in some wrestling. He landed 3 takedowns. I don't think he lost a unanimous decision. Now, for this one, I I can see Jared Gordon getting pieced up on the outside, right? Because he's going to have to find his way in close to land some of these hooks on Bobby Green, whereas Bobby Green is definitely going to be constantly popping out a jab, going for combinations. And I trust Bobby Green's takedown defense. Obviously, against Makhachev on short notice, it's a tough outing, but I trust him here to maybe not never get taken down, but I do think he can probably get back up, right? Or instead of getting taken down, he's working up against the fence and it's not so bad. But on the feet, I just feel like Green is going to, unless he makes another mistake, right? Unless he's just getting so cocky like he usually is, and he's baiting him in, and then they get into a wild exchange, and Jared Gordon just drops him with some big hooks. I mean, obviously that could happen, but I mean, I really liked what we saw from Bobby Green in his last fight. Just the way he was piecing up Drew Dober before that loss. So I could see him doing that to Jared Gordon here. Do I see someone getting finished? Yeah, I could see some. I mean, if Bobby Green's landing some of these shots that he was landing on Drew Dober, yeah, I think he could definitely take out Jared Gordon on the feet. As long as Jared Gordon's not able to consistently land takedowns and kind of just work them on the floor, I can see, if there is no finish, I could definitely see Green winning just by out-voluming Gordon. And then I could see Gordon winning if Green's just getting taken down or whatever, and Gordon's just kind of, holding him down, landing some ground and pound, whatever, maybe looking for a submission, and then winning a decision. But for me, I think if we see a pretty... the whole brawling thing, that was, he definitely should have got off the fence, circled back, and because he was winning when they were in the open. If he can do more of that and not just let it get to him where, like, let's brawl, I will have faith in Bobby Green winning and maybe even getting a finish here. So for me, without thinking about it too much, I just think Bobby Green's the overall better fighter. He just has to be careful making like a cocky mistake or thinking that like I'm just gonna trade with Jared Gordon in close, and the next thing you know he's getting cracked with some of the hooks. So for me, I'm gonna go Bobby Green to defeat Jared Gordon. I'll take him to win by round 2 KO TKO. In the fourth fight on the main card, we have Brad Tavares 19-7 taking on Bruno Silva 22-8. In a middleweight bout for Brad Tavares, I feel like Brad Tavares is one of those fighters where he just makes the simplest mistakes or doesn't do enough, and then he gets kind of like Jared Cannonier, in my opinion, right? Like, they're killers, but then they just don't do enough to win. And when they have the opportunity to fight someone big, they just kind of drop the ball, and it's like not exciting at all. And it's, it's not like they got absolutely destroyed. It's just they just didn't win. In his fight against Dricus Du Plessis in his last fight for Brad Tavares, he just didn't take advantage of Du Plessis just leaving himself exposed. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying, Du Plessis was landing on him too, but I feel like Tavares, if he just had a little bit more risk or whatever, he could have, dropped bombs on Du Plessis' head, but unfortunately, he was unable to do that. Now, he does have a split decision victory before that over Amari Akhmedov. Outstruck him, knocked him down. Akhmedov got 2 takedowns, but he won that fight via split decision against Antonio Carlos Jr. That was 2021 unanimous decision victory. Lost to Edmund Shabazian, KO TKO. And then he fought the current the current champion, Israel Adesanya, but he just, absolutely got outstruck in that fight, lost via unanimous decision. So I think Tavares can be very explosive. He can even, I wouldn't be surprised to see him possibly go for some takedowns in this fight, just because I think Silva gets a little bit too wild, and I feel like you could duck under a lot of his crazy stuff and maybe take him down. But overall, I think Tavares, if he just has good volume and fights a smart fight, right, doesn't play into like the craziness of Bruno Silva, because when you see the fight against Bruno Silva and Gerald Mearshart, Silva was just unable to get anything going, and then he gets dropped and then he gets submitted. But I feel like in that fight, Silva, rather than mixing anything up, he was just looking for one big shot to take out Mearshart, and obviously that just didn't work for him on that night. Silva, he's obviously fought Alex Pereira, former champion, lost that fight via unanimous decision, and then before that he got the KO TKO. But in his previous fights, first fight in the UFC, second fight in the UFC, and third fight. But then when he starts fighting a little bit better competition, I think it's probably harder to get that chaos going, because they're not, you really have to set those things up, and you can't just one shot KO a guy who's just having more volume, mixing in more things, giving you more things to look at. Now, that being said, Tavares, he can be cracked, but I think if he just fights smart here, like, doesn't brawl, maybe mixes in a takedown here and there, I feel like Tavares could probably win this fight. And again, like, he just can't fumble the bag, man. Maybe Silva tries to take Tavares down, but again, if Tavares looks for more combinations, looks to just be the better fighter here, takes advantage of maybe Silva getting a little bit too crazy, outlasts him into that third round, Silva might start to tire a little bit. Maybe Tavares can crack him, but I think Brad Tavares is a really good fighter. It's just that he just kind of lets the fights go, right? Like, even against Omari Akhmedov, he won via split decision. I mean, he could have put up more volume, like, mix it up better, right? Even against Antonio Carlos Jr., like, put up more volume. Yeah, I mean, against Adesanya, like, more volume. Go for the takedown on a guy who, at that point, a lot of people thought he didn't have good takedown defense. He took out Krzysztof Jotko, Tals Leites, Elias Theodoro, rest in peace. Yeah, when you start going that far back, it kind of gets a little weird. But in his last fight against Duplessis, I just feel like he didn't go for it when he needed to go for it. He needed to bite down on his mouth guard and just start swinging, because Duplessis was like, kind of like wobbly, gassed down, and go for it, man. Take him out. So we'll see what happens here. My prediction probably either be Silva landing like some crazy shot, wobbling Tavares maybe, and then you have Silva jumping in on him, or we see kind of Tavares just beat up Bruno Silva, frustrate him, stick to his game plan, mix up some pretty good shots, maybe mix him some wrestling, and then get a decision victory. So for me, I'm gonna go Brad Tavares. I'm gonna take him to defeat Bruno Silva. I'll take him to win by a decision. In the co-main event of the evening, we have Yadong Song taking on Ricky Simón. 19-7-1 for Song, and then 20-3 for Simone in a bantamweight bout. And every week these bantamweight bouts are just absolute bangers of fight. It's like you can't see a trash bantamweight bout, at least when it starts to be higher ranking fighters. Obviously, it's just bantamweight division is just filled with contenders, and it's just banger after banger. It's not one of those divisions where you have easy fights. You just jump right in, you're fighting like the best guys. So for Song Yadong, he's coming off of a loss against Corey Sandhagen. Got taken down twice in that fight, cut open badly with the elbow. Corey Sandhagen landed his classic elbows. He got finished in round number 4, KO TKO. Yadong, he got outstruck in each round. He really wasn't able to put together, I mean, he did land some good shots here and there, but he really wasn't able to put it together like Sandhagen was. And then at that, land anything that was fight changing, right? Sandhagen was just kind of able to just a little bit by little keep outpacing him and just landing more strikes, be more active. Yadong did land, Song Yadong, he did land 2 takedowns, but it still wasn't enough. Before that, he took out Marlon Moraes, which okay, yeah, I mean, he's gonna, a lot of people are gonna take out Marlon Moraes. It's kind of like one of those dudes you just gotta take out to get into the next echelon of bantamweight contenders or whatever. Against Julio Arce, he takes him out, KO TKO. I think I picked Arce in that one. Arce just didn't look good in that fight. He took out Casey Kennedy, split decision, outstruck him, lost to Kyler Phillips, which is funny because I think Kyler Phillips just got released from the UFC. Phillips took him down 3 times. He defeated Marlon Vera via unanimous decision. Vera took him down but got outstruck. So lost to Cody Stamann, taken out 5 times in that fight. I mean, he's tough. For me, Yadong Song is tough. Song is very tough. But it seems against just guys who are going to put up better volume than him and just have a more variety of the way they attack, elbows, kicks, constant movement, grappling defense, grappling offense. Like he's going to have just a little bit hard time keeping up with that level. For Ricky Simón, he's coming into this fight with a win over Jack Shore, submission, arm triangle. I mean, him and his takedowns, like, it's just constant chaining takedowns. And it's not lazy takedowns either. It's not like he's just, diving in for takedowns because he doesn't know how to strike. Like, he can definitely crack on the feet too. Some pretty good hooks. I mean, he'll get pretty aggressive on the feet. Definitely has power. But it's just his consistency with chaining in those takedowns. Like, he'll go for one takedown and then go to find another position and try to go for the takedown again. And he has the cardio to kind of keep that up. And that's why he's coming off of 5 wins, right? Now, granted, right, we don't know if these wins, I think this is a pretty good step up for Simón to see, like, what does he have. He got taken out by Uriah Faber in 2019. Then he lost to Rob Font. Then he went on a streak. Ray Borg, Pirillo, Brian Kelleher, Rafael Sunsao, and then defeated Jack Shore via submission. So he definitely has some submission skills as well. Not a guy you want jumping on top of you or whatever. But it just, I don't know. It's interesting because, like, when he gets to that next level, he loses and then he's got to come back up. So is he going to lose against Yadong Song, or is he going to, find his way to just kind of, I would assume, just out grapple Song, right? I feel like that's probably his key to victory in this one. And I don't know if Simón's going to be able to finish, because Song is pretty goddamn tough. Like, I don't really see Simón, like, killing him like that. And I actually think Simón was the underdog. Now he's the favorite, and then Song is a slight underdog. I think the why Song is an underdog is because everyone's concerned about his grappling, right? You see a guy who's, like, so committed to landing the takedown and then being able to do that. It's like, what's Song gonna be able to do in those situations? Is he gonna slow down a bit or whatever? But he did go toe-to-toe with Corey Sandhagen up until he got cut, and he probably would have lost that fight, though, because I think Sandhagen was starting to take over anyways, even if he didn't cut him. So yeah, I'm not sure what Song Yadong is gonna look like in this fight, but that one thing that's concerning is the grappling. It's just, if he's getting taken down too many times, he's not gonna really be able to do anything on the feet. And then obviously a lot of times when people are getting taken down like that, they're just gonna lose via decision or whatever. So for me, I'm gonna go Ricky Simón on this one. I just want to see that wrestling and see if he's able to hold Song down consistently. And if he's able to do that, I don't see why he can't win the fight, because we've seen Song get taken down, like I said, against Stamann 5 times. Kyler Phillips took him down 3 times. Vera took him down 2 times. So yeah. I mean, he's probably fighting one of the most aggressive wrestlers that he's fought in a while. So for me, I'm going to go Ricky Simón to defeat Yadong Song. I'll take him to win by a decision. In the main event of the evening, we have Sergei Pavlovich, 17-1, taking on Curtis Blaydes, 17-3, in a heavyweight bout. This is one of those fights where if you overthink it, you just kind of sit there thinking, like, I have no idea who's going to win, but I actually think, I see clear ways for both guys to win, right? So you have Pavlovich who's going to come out swinging, right? And not lazy swinging, like I don't want to say lazy, but just kind of hopefully I catch the guy kind of style, kind of like Tuivasa, where he'll definitely start brawling. Obviously we saw Pavlovich take him out just faster, more accurate with his strikes. When Tuivasa was trying to swing back, he moved just out of the way and then came back with his own strike and put him down and all that. So Pavlovich is very precise for a heavyweight. And he did eat some shots in that one, even against Tuivasa. He might have a good chin as well. But in that one, just very precise, just a lot to deal with, right? He's not gonna sit back and here's one punch. Like, he kind of messes you up and then just rushes your ass and just pop, pop, pop. And then he just knows if he touches you a couple of times, you're going to sleep or you're gonna fall on the floor, and then it's fair game at that point. And for Pavlovich, I think a lot of people are looking at this like, they're looking at the Overeem fight and they're like, he got absolutely crushed in that fight and he hasn't fought anyone like Overeem with the wrestling. And that could be true. The issue, though, is that maybe he's found a way. Obviously, his, 2018, I'm sure his defensive grappling has been more, defensive wrestling has been worked on since then. So he probably doesn't want to end. He probably knows who he's fighting, right? And for someone like Blaydes, who, is he really gonna want to trade with Pavlovich? Maybe he can trade with Pavlovich. I think a lot of people look at the Derek Lewis fight and they think, this dude got sent to the shadow realm. He has no chin, but it's not like he was getting knocked out in all of his fights, right? He took some big shots back in the day from Mark Hunt. He's eaten shots before. It's just that I think he has some pretty good. Anyone gets hit by Derek Lewis, everyone's gonna question like their chin, are they okay or whatever. But Derek Lewis would take out anyone. But yeah, like I said, for Blaydes, we saw in his fight against Chris Daukaus, he definitely has power in his hands. Does he test that here? I'm not sure, unless Pavlovich has been taken down and a little bit tired or whatever. I don't see him like going right off the bat trying to trade with Pavlovich, because at that point, he might prove his point if he lands on him, but he's not going to prove his point if Pavlovich just crushes him and then, it's all over. So I would look for Blaydes to, that aggression that he's going to get coming at him, get underneath that, take him down, go to your roots, try to outpace him, try to outwork him. He has the cardio to do it. But like I said, that's all cool until you're getting absolutely cracked on the feet and you're just wobbling everywhere, because it's a fight. Right, and in his last fight against Tom Aspinall, that shit ended so quickly, and not much to that fight at all. I guess he landed a pretty decent combination, but we didn't get to see pretty much anything else because Aspinall, hurt his leg or whatever. And then against Chris Daukaus, nothing against Chris Daukaus, but it's like, yeah, you got to be taking out Chris Daukaus. What I did like in that fight, that he showcased that he could crack on the feet. Against Rosenstrike, that was I don't know. Maybe Blaydes was just content with slowing that fight down because he didn't want to get crushed again by someone like Rosenstrike. He was just trying to get back in the win column, but that was not much to that fight outside of him just getting those 30 takedowns and doing nothing with them, really. And then he got smoked by Derek Lewis. He defeated Alexander Volkov, 14 takedowns, right? Before that, Dos Santos, Shamil Abdurakhimov, KO TKO. Justin Willis, he fights Francis, gets taken out, and then like every time he fights Francis Ngannou, he just gets taken out. But like I said, the game plan is there. I think a lot of people are like, Blaydes is gonna go in here, he's gonna duck under, get the takedown, grind him out, yeehaw, maybe get a KO TKO or just finish him. But again, my opinion on that though is Pavlovich is one hell of a monster to deal with, and I don't know. Something about Pavlovich, it's like, yeah, he's going to get taken down or whatever, just like the Overeem fight. Next thing you know, this dude actually defends like half the takedown and then just kills him. So it's always like that, right? It's like in MMA, it's like, yeah, man, that's going to happen. Of course it's going to happen. Next thing you know, it's not happening. And Pavlovich's takedown defense looks like Jesus or something. And it's not what everyone was thinking. So there's probably more ways for Blaydes to win, but it's like, I don't want to count out Pavlovich because I just don't feel like we can just write him off just yet, right? Like, if he looks like trash here, like he's getting taken down and he can't get up, okay, maybe we can be like, well, he was just a knockout artist or whatever. But if he like defends kind of the takedown or just doesn't even give Blaydes the space to get a takedown and he's cracking him, yeah, man, like Pavlovich is going to be nasty to deal with. So I understand why people are going Curtis Blaydes. I get it. I've gone with him before, right? I think I've gone with him outside of pretty much every fight. Like, I don't think I've maybe I think I even won with him against Ngannou in the second fight because I thought he would make the adjustments, get the takedown, but he just wasn't able to. But outside of that, yeah, I think I pretty much picked him just because I knew his wrestling and cardio was good. But I don't know, something about this just tells me that Pavlovich is gonna kill him. So that aggression from Pavlovich, he has to defend a takedown or something and then keep the fight staying. So we'll see what happens. It's so sketchy. But my pick is going to be Sergei Pavlovich to defeat Curtis Blaydes. I'll take it to win by round 1 KO TKO. And so that'll do it, guys, for my UFC Vegas 71 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday. Looking forward to the main event of the evening. Tell me who you got. Sergei Pavlovich, Curtis Blaydes. How do you got them? Leave your comments down below. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video.